Oh boy, man. What a freaking morning it's been. Good morning to you, Adam. How are you
Oh,
feeling
let's
today?
go. I got my ordinal shirt on today.
Already has ordered one already, huh? All right, let me we got some of the gents here today. We'll let it fill up a little bit. I'm assuming Leo's probably sleeping with some of oh, there he is. There he
I
is.
just invited him up.
Dude, I have to say, Leo, man, we had that Twitter Spaces yesterday, that NFT. Now I went and had dinner, went out for dinner, came back, and he was still on a space, doing just non-stop ordinals.
Yeah, these spaces go for a long time. It feels, I don't know, it feels like the start of I don't know, just any of these kind of moments where like people are just on 24/7 on these spaces, dude. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. So I figure we'll probably focus on that for the morning. I woke up in a frenzy. I saw Bitcoin punks selling on Emblem Vault. I saw more of them getting vaulted. I didn't really know what was happening. For now, it seems like it's safe. I think Obi, who's one of our resident historical NFT devs and wizards, seems to have put together an article, which we'll cover here in a second. Adam, you're a little bit more of an expert on this, and we'll cover your verification. I'll pin up here in a second. Tell us a little bit about the thoughts of Emblem Vault times ordinals.
Yeah, I think mainly it's about the ability to trade trustlessly, right? OTC trades are just notorious for people getting scammed. And when it starts getting into these kind of punk prices where you're talking about a Bitcoin or more than a Bitcoin, like significant cash, yeah, there are people to trust in the space. But that said, it's just, why would you do that if there's an ability to, to have a trustless system in place, right? I mean, that's one of the reasons I think a lot of us believe, OpenSea and Ethereum really took off. This idea of trustless trading, where you can put something for sale and I could just buy it and it just works, has kind of always been the issue with Counterparty and, sending stuff to dispensers. And if somebody beats you to the dispenser, you get kind of rug pulled, or you do get rug pulled and have to hopefully get your money back from somebody else. Emblem just solves that, right? And so I put out a thread earlier this morning. Obi helped me with that, to just, if people want to use Emblem Vault, they can put their ordinals right in an Emblem Vault. We put out the thread to show how they can verify that the actual ordinal they're interested in is in the Emblem Vault, and then just do the sale trustlessly on OpenSea.
So tell us what are the risks? I know we mentioned just a few days ago that there is some concerns onboarding it, or either they're vaulting it and then unvaulting it. Tell us some of the specifics about it.
Yeah, I mean, right now the significant risk is that you get scammed and buy a vault that doesn't have the ordinal that you actually want. That's the main risk. And for that, the first thing is you really have to be careful and check the OpenSea to make sure that it's an actual legitimate Emblem Vault. People will create scams on OpenSea that look just like Emblem Vaults, but actually aren't Emblem Vaults. So in my step-by-step on that Twitter thread, there's one there to check the collection. So if you scroll down, you'll see the check the collection on Emblem on OpenSea, to make sure you're actually on the Emblem Vault OpenSea, which has 30,000 ETH traded and stuff. So that's a critical step to make sure you're not getting scammed that way. You'd want to just basically hover over the Emblem Vault link, and it'll show you the kind of volume and amount of items, and then walk through the steps of actually confirming that the ordinal you want, whether it's a Bitcoin punk or whatever, is the one that's contained in the Emblem Vault. And that's actually pretty easy. All you're doing is you're confirming the Bitcoin wallet address of the ordinal with the wallet address of what's in the Emblem Vault. It's actually really, really simple. And once you learn it, it takes like 10 seconds to check. And you'll get matching wallet addresses for, the ordinal website and the Emblem Vault. And you should be good to go. After that, it's just a simple OpenSea transaction.
Yeah, I saw him. I'll pull up Obi's article here in a second, where he actually quoted the one that we had created for Counterparty, and there's actually a lot of similarities. as I look at this, we're confirming it, and I'll provide some Emblem updates at least from what I've heard so far. Bitcoin punks seem to be a popular collection. I know there's an auction that's happening too as well. Do you need to run a full node to be able to vault these or unvault them?
No, I mean, really, if you like, for example, if you bought one, you could make sure that, I mean, if you wanted to buy one, say on Emblem Vault, you could tell the person who actually owns it, hey, create an Emblem Vault. They'll send the ordinal into that Emblem Vault, and then you would just confirm that that ordinal's in the actual Emblem Vault, and you should be good to go. So for newbies like me who, want to make sure and confirm that they're buying the ordinal in kind of the safest way, that's the way I'd recommend it. There are other ways, but if you're doing it OTC, you're basically at the mercy of the person selling to not rug you. And so, I don't recommend that unless it's like a trusted, if you're buying it from Obi, okay, I would trust that you're not going to get rugged. But, anything over a certain what you're willing to lose, I would never do OTC.
All right. So we have all of our guest speakers on stage. Everybody, make sure that you share this spaces so we could get some more people in. Make sure that you share Adam's pinned post so that everyone can trade safely. Ethord, you have your hand up. Good morning to you, and what's on your mind?
Hello. Yeah, I have a question around the whole ordinals thing. Obviously, the buried entry is a little high right now, but was able to get one on Sparrow Wallet. My understanding, though, is if it's on Sparrow Wallet, you don't want to touch it. You don't want to try to vault it to Emblem. That's what I've been told. Wondering if anyone knows differently.
Basically, as far as my understanding goes, Sparrow's being used as this way to like hold it until it's kind of all figured out, which is fine. Emblem in reality is kind of in the similar boat. Basically, the Sparrow wallet and an Emblem Vault, Bitcoin wallet, are very much the same. And so what's going to end up happening is basically like if you were to crack the Emblem Vault or unlock the Emblem Vault, and because you wanted to get the ordinal back on Bitcoin, you would get a Bitcoin seed phrase. And with that seed phrase, you would be able to basically right now put it into an ordinal wallet. And that would allow you to then move that ordinal safely, because really now the only real way to move an ordinal safely is by using the ordinal wallet, right? Which has this like very, very specific granular way to separate each individual sat. So you can be sure that when you send it somewhere, that sat that contains the ordinal or contains the inscription is the one you're actually moving and doesn't get, sent to the miner as a fee. Right. So the idea right now, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but, basically these are holding wallets until the tech gets all figured out for like, okay, what's the best way forward? But these wallets are secure because we know that you'll be able to import those seed phrases into an ordinal wallet. That's for sure. So if you need to move it in the future, you definitely will be able to.
All right, perfect. I just want to also reset and make sure that you guys know this is our weekly show, Friday mornings, where we cover collecting NFTs, Emblem Vault, historical NFTs, and some of the news stories. If anybody would like to come on to stage, just go ahead and request. Make sure that you raise your hand when you want to speak, because we are also simultaneously live streaming this on YouTube, so there might be a slight delay. Flame, you had your hand up. Go ahead, brother. Good morning.
Good morning. Just want to say, first of all, thank you guys for doing this. It's confusing times and exciting times for a lot of people who are curious about this. I know I've been trying to rattle off as much helpful and useful information as I can about this, because I just don't want to see people get wrecked, because this is so speculative and so high risk, but also high reward, depending on what you collect. And if you're just into being a part of this history, I really tried hard to get one in under 10,000, this weird little drawing I made. And right now it's sitting in a Sparrow wallet, and I'm afraid to do anything with it because I know that it's not in an Ordinals wallet. So I can't send it anywhere anyway. So that question was already asked, but I'm just kind of wondering, like, is that the directive right now, just to sit tight And then the other question I have is, what auction are y'all referring to? Is it the same one that's happening in the Imagine Discord with the Rudzane silent auction?
So the auction that I was referring to was the one on Emblem Vault, which here I'll pull up here in a second on the video live stream. I think that was the first ordinal to actually make it to Emblem Vault itself. So Adam, I think you might have some more comments on it. Look like.
Yeah, the just to your wallet question. Yeah, I believe the best advice right now would be to sit tight on it. Wait for further instructions. I mean, I think, the thing is right now, like if you got a Bitcoin Core node up and running and had an ordinal wallet installed on your computer and could do everything, like you could just basically take those private keys from your Sparrow wallet and put them into an ordinal wallet and you'd be good to go. You could do that today, right? But to do that, you have to have a full Bitcoin Core node up and running, which is like, trust me, it's a lot of work, right? So you're probably not going to want to do that. So right now, the best advice is kind of hold tight and wait for somebody to build out something that works without having the full Bitcoin Core node running, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. I have the Bitcoin Core node running, but I have a lot of trepidation in terms of trying to set up the ordinal wallet myself.
Yeah. My advice for that would be, look, hey, do some more, make some more. Actually get the ordinal wallet up and running, get comfortable with it, mint some, right? That you're not going to be bummed out if you lose, right? And play around with it and get comfortable. I mean, I think there's great benefit in running the Bitcoin Core node and all that sort of stuff. And so get it running. And play around with it. You'll be ahead of the curve, but I'm positive there are going to be other solutions in the coming, weeks that will enable people to be able to trade without running the full node.
Sure. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Thanks so much for that. I already have an artist's name, artist's artwork inscribed as well. And so I'll definitely be looking forward to figuring out how to safely bring that to market, as well as we're also working on getting a documentary and some unreleased music from a name artist, and it's crazy what we're trying to get on there. So I'm excited to figure out how to get it all distributed safely.
These people move incredibly fast. So for the live stream, I pulled up the auction on Emblem Vault that began 3 days ago by Droplister. It's Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z says over 9,000 in ordinal inscription 9380. So a sub 10K. Top bid right now is 0.24 ETH. Dogfather, our expert counterparty and Doge Party analyst. I know you've been diving into this recently and you're very familiar with Bitcoin. GM to you and what's on your mind?
Hey, GM. So I'm really looking forward to that. So I was just...
All right.
He's got kid problems over there.
Hey,
I know that well, man. I remember it well.
Pain, brother.
Yeah, got some priorities. So I also just pulled up. This is what I woke up to with a bunch of questions. JPEG Master apparently made the first ever ordinal sale using Emblem Vault, purchased Bitcoin Punk number 8679 for 0.6 ETH. So it might be an all-time high for now. Ordinal inscription number 20,192. So congrats to you, real JPEG Master. I know there's been a few other vaults as well. So this will be something that we watch closely over time.
We're certainly seeing a lot of movement in the punks, right? I mean, I've had collectors reaching out to me, tried to negotiate some deals this morning. Thanks for everybody for taking my DMs and stuff. I often act as kind of an intermediary between collectors and other collectors, really. And so we tried to negotiate stuff. There was a lot of back and forth, but if it was for high-end punks and those kind of get sticky, where you try and figure out, well, I want some, but I don't want all, and it's the back and forth, and no, I want this one and that one. So we didn't get one done, but there are definitely some negotiations taking place OTC to try to get some of these distributed to collectors for sure.
Yeah, I saw this morning actually that there was another large Bitcoin punk sale of about 4 Bitcoin for about I think it was a bunch of hoodies. So Leo, your buy of 2 point whatever Bitcoin for the aliens and apes is looking pretty good right now.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I saw, I'm not going to say who because I don't know if they're public about it, but there was a bulk deal that went down for some grails. So there's an alien, there's a hoodie ape, there's the seed phrase punk, there's some other like zombies in that, and yeah, that was definitely a decent deal that went down there. And yeah, it's like you're just scrambling. This is like kind of the moment where if you do want to get something, these things were $10 to mint 24 hours ago. So they're like, this is kind of the moment to get them because they're just in that exponential kind of price discovery curve. If you do think the collection actually is going to have long-term value, and to me, it's not necessarily just because it's CryptoPunks or something. It could have kind of been any 10K collection. It's much more about just that there's these 35,000 inscriptions, and then there's 10,000 of them are this collection. And to me, that narrative, like this is a collecting historical kind of focus space, like that just resonates a lot with me. Obviously, it's the first big collection like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Dogfather, maybe you're finished with some daddy duties right now. What's good and what's on your mind?
Man, GM, you never finish with that, but now she's
Never, bro.
How a good girl should do that, once daddy is talking about ordinals. So last week I thought these ordinals are just something you don't have to really dig into, but once you start reading, man, I have to tell you that this is really something really big. So I'm completely with you guys. So that could, you also see the recognition on crypto Twitter. Everyone, really literally everyone is talking about that. Even guys like Farok who just did their mint. They also talk about that. So nobody can deny that this is something. Who knows where we are in like 10 years with that, but it looks super interesting. And I have a few more comments later, more specific things, and I will raise my hand and then we can discuss it further.
Yeah, I think certainly it's touched a nerve with the Bitcoin community, who often want nothing to do with NFTs, like zero, right? And this is kind of like touched a nerve in the way that they may not like Counterparty, they may not like Pepe's, they may call XCP a shitcoin and all this sort of stuff. But this was like, oh wait, what's this? And it raised some eyebrows. If you look at that Ordinals Discord, I don't know what they have. I think it's like 12,000 members already. It exploded. It's already dwarfs any of the historical NFT groups, right? So it's, obviously you import the entire historical NFT community into that group, right? I think we can all pat ourselves on the back for kind of bringing this to the forefront. But then it's just all the kind of Bitcoiners have piled in, which is incredible.
Yeah, it's really cool to see. There's going to see a lot of innovation. Let's dive a little bit deeper into kind of the philosophical approach to this. I am seeing a lot of upset NFT and crypto people, some degens on there discussing. It's almost like a counter narrative of some people are calling these historic, some people are not calling these significant. Why are some people buying these punks? Some people might be buying it because it's crypto punks. I see a lot of large accounts saying, crypto is very unoriginal. We're just taking the same traits from different derivatives of derivatives, like the ordinals punks, for example. It's a derivative of mutant punks, which is a derivative of something else punks, which is a derivative, right, of regular punks. Why are these going for high sales? Is there any reason to be concerned that these punks are not legitimate, or are people buying it for the low inscription number because of some sort of like cultural significance?
I'll chime in here. Like, do I think it's historical? No, right. These are like 4 days old, right? But do I think it potentially has impact in the future? Like, yes. And that's why I'm excited for all NFTs, right? I think we're all here for NFTs. We're here for Web3, right? We're here for this development. And we've been talking for 2 years about, where it's going to move, where it's going to go, and it's going to go in surprising new ways, right? And this is a surprising new way, right? And that's why it's exciting for us, certainly in the historical NFT community, because, you know, our bags are packed with old NFTs, but we realize that, you know, future NFTs and the future of Web3 is a requirement if our bags are going to be worth anything, right? We have to move into this new Web3 future, and that requires kind of innovation and growth. And so, I mean, that's why I'm excited about it. Like, I think obviously the main driver is, look, this is on Bitcoin, right? The most solid chain, the chain everybody in the world knows. And that's why it has this like hype. Like, it could happen on Dogecoin or Doge Party, whatever, but it wouldn't be nearly as impactful because it's Bitcoin, right? And that's the main driver.
Speaking that about Doge Party, on Twitter, I actually saw some people discussing if this was possible on Dogecoin to do inscriptions, and they said that it is.
Yes,
it is.
Yeah.
They said they would have to create a new block explorer, I believe, of some sort. That would be absolutely wild. Mafiko had his hand up first, so good morning to you, sir. How you been?
I've been good. Good. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Great. Yeah, no, doing well. Just caught up on all things ordinals. I actually have been at an entrepreneurship academic conference all week, and people have been discussing blockchain and slightly NFTs and hype, which has been really, really interesting. So when ordinals came through, and no one at the conference knew about this, so it's been a kind of thrown a spanner in the works for some people. Interestingly, in terms of their research and what they want to do going forward. I just want to respond quickly, Jake, your question about people saying Bitcoin punks and is it unoriginal, and the sort of the notion that is a derivative. My view is that on one hand, I do feel that perhaps there is a bit of a lost opportunity there where ordinals and the protocol itself could have carved out its own distinct sort of niche, not even niche, but distinct kind of emergent story around the types of NFTs that rose to prominence. But on the other hand, I mean, it really is telling that why like punks have been chosen and why punks are popular. And so I kind of think about it as if you're building a new house, all houses, like the foundation of most houses is the same, right? Like you use concrete, you use like just the same materials. So I kind of look at it that way in the sense of paying homage to punks being what they are, everyone knowing what punks are. It only adds value to the punks as well, and really solidifies their places. Like, we talk about historical NFTs and there being earlier projects, but in the cultural and in society, the cultural consciousness, it's like that is a collection. So it's great to see, and I'm looking forward to seeing over time how the Ordinals protocol carves out, that kind of.
Yeah, I absolutely.
Feel.
I absolutely agree. I think if anything, all these punks derivatives, punks have been as stable as mooncats that have been sitting at pretty much the same floor for about 6 months. So whenever they're ready to move, man, that's going to be quite a god candle at some point in time. Leonidas was next. Also, tell us a little bit of just your thesis behind acquiring all those punks. I mean, I know you've gotten a lot of flack. I've seen the Leo haters come out as they usually do. For a variety of different reasons. What's good?
Yeah, so I tried to put out a thread to just be as absolutely transparent as possible because I didn't want the narrative to be, because it wasn't true, that I just wanted to like copy punks or something, right? I wanted to buy these copy punks. Like that was not the case. Like had somebody put another 10K collection that was innovative or new, like I would have done the exact same thing. I very much value the idea of like a low inscription. Okay, so I'm very much predicting there to be a similar kind of situation as you get to any of these like infinite supply style situations. So in CryptoKitties, the first 100 are the founders, right? That's the most highest, most coveted, most valuable CryptoKitties. In ENS, the 999 Club, that's like the most coveted, most expensive ENS names. And you basically just end up with like human psychology playing out here. And in my opinion, the narrative as a collector of something being like the first 100 on the protocol when there's like, 10 million or something, I think that's probably like the most exclusive collection, like the most coveted collection. And the fact that Bitcoin punks are a 10K collection in the first 35,000, there's just no 10K collection that can compete with that narrative just from the purely inscription number perspective, because that's very much how we're seeing these markets play out, right? Like the number one factor is how low is the inscription ID? Is it sub 10K? Is it sub 1K? Is it sub 100, right? And then secondly, obviously the actual collection and the art matters too. Like we're obviously seeing a premium. People are buying rocks for someone trading an Ether rock for a Bitcoin rock yesterday.
Wow.
Like, yeah.
Yo.
So, people are putting a premium on certain collections. Like absolutely the actual assets in the collection matters, but the number one factor is totally the inscription ID. So I just put out a thread. I acquired inscription number 69 a little bit ago.
Wow.
And
Nice.
yeah. So it's a meme called the alternate currency meme. It's like been a kind of meme in crypto for a while. And basically the logic here is like pretty simple. Like it's exactly what I explained. Like it's a first 100. I think like those 100 will be the flex. Like it just kind of seems like, I'm not really having to, go. I don't think it's too much of a stretch to kind of come to this conclusion. We'll see. But yeah, basically, as far as like the opportunity size, I see a lot of people wondering, like, are ordinals too big? Are we topping right now? All this stuff. Like to me, it's like zoom way out. Okay. If you think ordinals, like if you think this ERC 721 style protocol on Bitcoin is a big deal, okay, and you think that there's like room for the protocol to grow, I'm just going to give two ratios that kind of tell that story. So right now, the ratio of the market cap of all Ethereum NFTs to the market cap of ETH is 1 to 10. So the chain where a bunch of NFTs have found their home, it's 10% of the value stored on that chain, more or less. Probably a little less because there's a lot of other tokens, but 1 to 10 ratio for that, right? And then on ordinals for Bitcoin, the ratio is 1 to 4,000.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm always looking
at for me. My slow brain didn't get that. I haven't had enough coffee yet this morning.
Yeah. So okay, imagine.
Explain it again.
Yeah, imagine you have this market cap of Ethereum. It's 180 billion. Okay. And then there's a market cap of all of Ethereum NFTs. I just said it was 18 billion. I might be off by a little bit.
Okay.
You end up getting a 1 to 10 ratio there, right?
Gotcha.
Digital objects on the chain to currency on the chain.
Gotcha.
The ratio is 1 to 10 for Ethereum. That's what a mature
trillion on Bitcoin.
Yeah. So that's what a mature kind of situation looks like after it plays out.
Interesting.
Yeah. So on ordinals, it's 1 to 4,000. So it's just a very different story. We're at around $100 million market cap right now. To me, that is infinitesimally small relative to the Bitcoin and the potential liquidity if that Bitcoin basically flows into digital objects on this chain more.
Yeah, it's how I've been thinking it too. I know a lot of people have been upset about the prices, but it's just like the early ETH days of early 2021 where everything was denominated in ETH. If everything's denominated in Bitcoin, right? That value is what I think it's like 13 ETH to 1 Bitcoin or something around there. So those prices can get even more ridiculous than a floor 500K for some monkeys. That's actually, it sounds like a pretty good pickup. How I've been kind of thinking about this is actually very similar to Namecoin, where some of those, like the very earliest of all the different collections are very valuable. The May, or what is it, the April and May .bit addresses, or some of the first IDs. And then there's kind of like this lull period between 2011 to 2014, where there's a handful of assets that are kind of unique. They're one of one. They're iconic because they were either the first on-chain digital file or whatever the case is. And then you see this explosion happen in 2014 on Namecoin with the creation of One Name, where you start seeing Twitter eggs and all these different avatars being tokenized on Namecoin. And that's kind of how I think is going to happen here, is these early inscriptions. Some of them will be very valuable, probably some of the early collections. There will be a lull period where the attention moves on. You'll see a lot of radical development. And then we'll see some project that kind of sets a precedent, employs some sort of model that most people begin to copy. And that's where I think a lot of the value will be. But some of these early ones, it's a pretty good play. Flame had his hand up first, and then Chain Left and Dogfather.
Yeah, I'll just make this really quick. I just want to say thanks to everybody up here because, like I said before, this is very new, very risky, and to already see a thread with these detailed instructions on how to purchase things through Emblem Vault is so helpful. It's something that I plan on sharing with other people. People have been asking me, like, how do I do this? Like, what do I do? How do I do it safely? So, it's developing so rapidly. And the fact that you guys, who are obviously very respected blockchain art historians to begin with, are so enthusiastic about this, I think both speaks well for ordinals. I just hope everybody can be polite. There's a lot of vitriol. This is very polarizing. And I hope that, people who are dissenting can still remember to do it in a kind way because, one of the things that's interesting about this is that it's developing at an exponentially rapid pace. And it's thanks to all of the development of blockchain art and cryptocurrency that's happened before it. So there's going to be a lot of wild stuff going on. There's going to be a lot of hot takes, but hopefully we can all respect that, even if this isn't for you, you can still be nice in terms of the way that you mention that to other people, especially to the people who are into it.
Totally.
Anyway,
I appreciate that because honestly, like I've told people like, look, hey man, do I think it's insane that something minted, 2 days ago is selling for a full Bitcoin or more? And I'm like, yes, I do think that's insane. But at the same time, I also recognize that I've been wrong many, many times, like all the time. And so I don't put it past collectors when they're like, no, I want more for this. I've come with offers that I thought were way more than fair. And the person was like, no. And this is like some life-changing type money stuff. And the person's like, no, things that he minted for $10 2 days ago. Right. But am I right or wrong? Like, I have no idea, honestly. And that's when it gets into this like value proposition and stuff. But I think we can all, even the kind of hardcore historical NFT maxis will agree that this is interesting technology and certainly brings in a lot of Bitcoiners into the NFT space, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, the innovation is quite interesting. Remember when me, you, Leo, and a few others were talking with Casey back in, I think it was September last year. We didn't even bring up inscriptions all the time. We were just talking about sat tracking, right? Putting serial numbers on different sats. So this actually like caught me kind of by surprise. I wasn't really aware of it. I know you've had conviction, Adam, the whole entire time. I do want to note before I move on to Chain Left that I was in contact, or Emblem Vault was in contact with the creator or the guy who's running Bitcoin Punks, so that hopefully we can get some of the metadata spruced up to make sure that people are safely trading the right Bitcoin Punks. I think part of that has to do with collecting all of the inscription numbers. I think once you get that, that's pretty much done. But we'll give an update on Emblem and a little bit on some of the features that may come in some of the other utility within the company. Chain Left, good morning.
Yeah, good morning to you guys, I guess. For me, evening. How are you guys doing? Yeah, just a few things that I picked up, and I took some notes, and I'm just gonna kind of try to go over these. What you just discussed recently about the valuations and the collectability, and whether it's insane and so on. I think Adam was like, what you said was really good. I think like how I've been wrong before, right? That's the thing. Like to all these people who call, oh, this is like the biggest scam, or like it's the, I don't know, what is this ordinals? It's just like a fake counterparty or whatever. To me, this sounds like, just show some humility is what I want to say to these people, because I honestly agree with you guys that and then this is something I really wanted to discuss. This is the main thing I wanted to discuss. Like, what is the actual, innovation we're talking about here? I actually wanted to talk about the real, the benefit. What is the over and above benefit that inscriptions are bringing over and above what counterparty can do or what Ethereum can do. So I would love to talk about that. And then there are I think there are nuanced conversations there as well. But before having those conversations, just calling everything that is somehow going to some high valuation through some hype period, and I agree that it's a hype period. Just calling that scam is it's just I find this almost they don't know what they're talking about, because it's in the end people value different things, right? Like collectors are collectors essentially. They value things in different ways, and if they really see value in ordinal as a technology or descriptions as a technology, and if that will really have a future, then of course it makes sense that the early attempts of that technology will have some value, right? I mean, I think that second part has no really debate, in my opinion. I think what is maybe more tricky is the evaluation of the first part, whether you actually see the future of ordinals. This is what I really wanted to discuss with all of you actually here. Today I was thinking about it, in the end, yeah, you could have done the NFTs on counterparty. You can even do one-of-ones, right? You can actually issue a token with one supply and put the artwork there. And in fact, while it's extremely rare, you could do even on-chain storage using counterparty as well. So there is almost okay, so what is the innovation, right? That's kind of the question that I feel like people might be seeing. And the way I see it is, and I try to kind of go through, I did another thread today, and I kind of try to go through it almost in a step-by-step way. So to me, it's, first of all, you realize that the on-chain storage on inscriptions is extremely cheap. When you compare between the two, counterparty, for example, compare with counterparty or Ethereum, is extremely cheap. It's 90%, 95% almost discount on that. And then we were talking about it yesterday when I said that Joe Ludi, he came up and said well, yes, but it is discounted, but OP return is more robust, because OP return is it has to be downloaded by all nodes in the entire Bitcoin network, while ordinals are actually stored in the witness data, which doesn't have to be actually downloaded, so it can be pruned. So immediately that kind of sparked I know about this, but it kind of reminded me that, okay, well, if it gets pruned, what if ordinals actually aren't that permanent? What if people don't actually download that? And that's why I asked that question yesterday to Joe. How do we know what percentage of the node operators are actually downloading that data? And the answer was well, it's the default setting that you don't prune it, so probably 95% of them are downloading it. So then basically my valuation essentially boils down apparently to this, right? Now we have this way, a very elegant and simple, I would say, way to produce artwork and have NFTs on-chain NFTs on Bitcoin with the 20% of the cost, but with 95% of the permanence value, let's say, that we would have had with OP return. And to me, that's a pretty good deal. That's for me an immediate direct value that comes from this new technology. And the other side of it is that it creates this ordinal itself is I guess you could call it a protocol. I mean, it's a theory, but it creates this sort of almost like an infrastructure that creates an elegant way that you can trust, right? Because on Ethereum, for example, you have sometimes smart contract risk, sometimes you have those different things. While inscriptions are a little bit simpler, I think. So that simplicity can also be, I can see that it being appealing as a method. But at the same time, from the other side of it, and that's why I want to call this a nuanced debate. You still can't do a lot of things that you can do with it. You still can't do with inscriptions a lot of things that you can do with Ethereum NFTs, right? You can't do these massively collaborative composable contracts, and you can't do these interesting burn mechanics, like burn to mint and stuff like that. You don't even have tooling, to be honest. We don't even have marketplace. This will probably come, but I doubt to think I think even in the end, you won't be able to do the even after a few years, you won't be able to do some of the things that we do with Ethereum smart contracts. So I just wanted to say, this debate is nuanced, but I just wanted to say that, there is clearly something unique that is bringing to the market, and I understand why people are valuing it. That's what I'm saying.
A highly speculative bubble. We see this with every NFT project, with every new protocol. Dogfather, you had your hand up. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, just wanted to add a few details. So for example, if we talk about inscription numbers, you have to bear in mind that many of them are duplicates. So I found out today when I was going to the Bitcoin Punk website and was just finding out that my hoodie punks that I inscribed, which is second or third, so basically not like the first. So if Leo is talking about 35,000, where the 10K Bitcoin punks are included, you can at least say subtract 5 or even more thousand of kind of multiple or duplicate inscriptions that don't hold any value, or let's say way less value. So what we typically do as data analysts is the first thing, we drop those duplicates and just look at unique observations. And I think then we are way below. And then the other thing that's worth mentioning, if you check out the inscriptions for, I was just looking at the Bitcoin punks, just because they have a lot of data. So they have the JSON file on there where you can basically check when was the first Bitcoin punk minted. And it's super interesting to check that out. So for example, in the first 100, there are just 2, one alien, and even below 10K of inscriptions, there are only 3. So they are extremely, if you're able to have one of these early ones, there are very few. And then, Leo was talking about them, and Sean was talking about that. And then, it was booming and then minting out soon. So it's pretty interesting to look at. So which kind of Bitcoin punk you're looking at, and what is, the relative rank in that order. So I think that's two details worth having a look at.
Yeah, that is kind of the interesting part I'd thought about, because there's going to be multiples. And I believe the method that they used for the official Bitcoin punks is kind of the first in, first out method. Whoever inscribed the first punk that was related to, I believe, the IPFS or whatever the commonality was between the ETH collection is what they deemed to be the punk in the official collection. Of course, anyone can go and mint as many punks as they want afterwards, which is what happens on Ethereum. And so Desktop Commando, who's on the live stream, actually puts a good question into the chat, which I don't know if I haven't heard it discussed yet, which is how much of the IP confliction will there be in the future between CryptoPunks on ETH and CryptoPunks on Bitcoin? Because it is the same image. It is the same hash. I don't know. Adam, have you heard anyone talk about this on any of the live stream or any of the spaces?
I haven't heard it on live streams. I've definitely seen people tweeting about it. My question is, who's Yuga gonna sue? Right? It's like this was basically, I mean, yeah, the guys who got it organized, they minted the most, but basically random people were minting these. So, this doesn't seem like a likely court case to follow up with, because it's kind of this decentralized minting process. So I find it pretty unlikely.
Yeah, I think so as well. Who are you going to sue? The protocol? It's like what the government's trying to do. Just sue any protocol, shut them all off, right? Close the staking services for the centralized companies. Yeah, but shout out to Coinbase. It seems like they are going to continue on with it. Yeah, Desktop in the live chat, GM to everyone in there, putting in some good questions. There is a lot of different interoperability being researched at the moment. There's people experimenting with Counterparty, which Joe Looney does with the storage. Obviously, you have Emblem Vault here. I don't know what other protocols or things will be built on top of it. It's quite interesting. One project, and then I'll call on you, Leo, here in a second, which I've been watching, and I think these are actually going to go for probably so much money that people are going to really just get really angry, is these Bitcoin shrooms. Have you seen that project? It was actually the first... Is the first project inscribed? I think
it's the first shrooms on the blockchain.
Yeah, right. They minted these. I believe all of them are sub 100, and some even in the first 10. And they haven't sold any yet. And you could even go and see this person who did it had a podcast episode with Casey like back in November. And so they've been kind of building this. And whoever has this conviction to see this happen and mint those below and still not sell any yet, man, this person's going to get massively rewarded. But to buy a mansion probably after they're done with this one. Leo, what's good?
Yeah, the Bitcoin shrooms are interesting. They this is like, I'm curious y'all's opinion on this, because there's 2 collections right now that have kind of this claim that they're first. So the like rocks, right? These 100 rocks. There's 100 rocks minted in the first like 200 and like 50 inscriptions basically. So that whole collection is minted first, but before the first rock was minted, like 8 of these shrooms were minted. Now the shrooms collection doesn't finish until like inscription 900. There's 200 of them inscribed, much further. So it begs the question of like, which one gets to say they're first, or do we like both have to say the nuance with the claim, or does it really even matter?
Yeah, there's quite a bit of nuance, right? It's like if you had, well, my project was only one NFT, so therefore my project's first, right? It's like you get into all these sort of nitty gritty details, right? Yeah, I don't know if we can claim one for sure.
Well, there's kind of two things that are happening at the same time. I think when you look through just like the historical NFT space, it's generally whoever minted the first token is generally who gets that provenance of being first. But then counterintuitively, recently with the on-chain monkeys thing, right? They completed their full set. I think just like a few mints right before Bitcoin Punks did, although Bitcoin Punks started way before. So you kind of have this like nuance within both of them. I would say whoever minted the first token gets to take claim as the first. I think On-Chain Monkeys was the first complete 10K to be minted. So there is some nuance, right? We're just very familiar with these kind of nuance. But I would say whoever minted the first one gets to be the first collection. Well, I guess we'll see. I don't know. Someone's going to get really rich off of this.
Jake, then my counter, and I probably agree with you potentially. I don't know exactly. I think both collections have a claim here, in my opinion. But if that's the case, then theoretically, there's a bunch of like individual pieces that minted their first piece before both those collections. If those inscribers come now and release, the other 99 in the 30,000 or in the 50,000s or something, is that now the first collection? Because like, Rock Toshi, you could totally make the argument that like, you didn't complete your collection in time, basically. Yep. I mean, I think that it is an interesting debate. I don't know your thoughts on that. I think, I don't think there are right answers in this stuff. In the historical NFT space, a long time ago, I stopped telling people wrong, right?
Yeah, I think this kind of slides down the like intentionality debate. Like, was there an intention to close off the collection? Did the Bitcoin Shrooms person state as they were minting like how many were going to be in the collection? And
that's where it gets sketchy, because there's like a set of like 8, and then there's like a huge gap, and they look different after the first 8. And I'm not sure there was a plan, and this stuff is not on chain, right?
Well, I can tell you for certain, I was the first that failed to mint a collection. So I have that moniker. I will in a couple of weeks. I'll come out and tell you guys what I was planning, and hopefully we'll get it all sorted. But I had grand visions. Failed of epic proportion, man.
Can we inscribe Adam's incompetency to figure it out and fade generational wealth? How do we inscribe this into an ordinal and package it so hopefully you can get some of that money, potential earnings?
It's so painful. Like when I miss, and we all miss, right? Mm-hmm. But like missing before was like I missed Ether Rocks, and then I didn't realize how bad I missed until like 4 months later, right? So it was like, the pain was lessened. This was like a week later, dude. And so the pain is so deep.
Stings. So
deep. And the pain of this is the one that really hurts, was I had people right at the beginning who knew I was trying and got good guys in the Discord were like, bro, just let me mint you some right now, man. Just tell me what you want. And I was like, no, I'm going to do it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. So I missed all the early ones, man. All the ones I could have had early, bro. The pain is so deep.
Adam, it's pretty much, in my opinion, essentially like minting CryptoPunks. Like you got to inscribe for $5-10. It's literally minting CryptoPunks, more or less.
Yeah.
I mean, that's brutal. And I'm with you.
It's literally that, but it's compressed between 2017 and 21 for 4 days.
It happened. Yeah. It's brutal. Yeah. I had the same situation. Like I was looking at the inscriptions, like Casey sent me a link, and I just kind of glanced over, and there were like 15, 20 inscriptions, and I just glanced over it. It's like I was thinking, I'm too busy to like spend an hour looking into this right now. I'll get to it, kind of thing. And then, before you know it, it's like the price just totally, I don't know. It's been an exponential curve, and you know, there at some point, you know, you feel like you kind of missed the boat a little bit, and I'm not quite there yet, really. You know, that's why I'm obviously still buying, but I totally understand. Like, it is absolutely brutal to go back to 2 weeks ago and just, you know, you're kicking yourself thinking about like, what was my logic here to not inscribe one of these things, right?
eternal pain. Dogfather, what's good, and then we'll move on to something next.
Yeah, I mean, shame on you guys, shame on you. And now we can talk about all the details and the signs. But look, if you had really looked at the inscriptions from the very first one, you would have known that this is a high quality, very important, and super ambitious project. Check out the first inscription, then you know that this is really a man of taste who did that. A great artist. And, you know, you should have seen that. I mean, I should have looked at that as well. So a friend of mine was telling me what to do and was like, no, I'm busy. I have to do some IRL stuff. And then, you know, did that 1 or 2 days later. Big regret, man. Big regret.
Yep.
Yeah. Huge regrets, man. Missing generational wealth consistently by the week. But trying to build generational wealth with Emblem Vault. So some of the updates, I like that transition, right? Getting a little better every single time. We've been talking with Shannon, who's the dev for Emblem Vault. He's working pretty hard to try to figure this out, to try to improve the UX. I believe some of the labeling internally is something that we're focused on. Adam's going to put out a few more pieces. We encourage anyone to reach out to us if you have any types of suggestions or comments on to improve it. It's kind of funny how this comes right as we're like about to launch curated collections, because I had some people like, let's get this curated Bitcoin Punks collection. I'm like, dude, we can't even get the first one out. Oh my God, right? We're almost there. But speaking of curated collections, the we had an obstacle that I believe has been overcome. So the Pepe's and Spells of Genesis will be rolled out pretty shortly. I've been speaking with Pepe.wtf and then some of the potential vaulters to try to encourage those who have large XCP assets to vault, maybe do some rewards in co-vault to cover some of those gas fees, but that's going to be a large priority. I think, again, talking about the Bitcoin Punks guy, getting those inscription numbers, I think will be next to try to label the metadata. But we have to just be concerned on scammers, as we know those they live in the vaults, right? Or they try to find different maneuvers for it. But so just very, very open to that as well. Ordinals, man.
I will tell you guys, like, as soon as people realize that somebody was able to vault and sell for 0.6, you know, which is maybe like double the floor on ETH, like, you guys are, my prediction is over the next 48 hours, it's going to click for people, and people are going to be like, wait, I can just like vault it and send over here and like sell for twice the amount. Like, it's going to come really fast when it comes, is all I'm saying. So yeah, be definitely looking out for that. Have y'all actually unvaulted one of these things to make sure that people can recover from the vault correctly?
I haven't. I don't believe Adam has. I don't believe anyone has. I think from what I looked, there was only about 4 or 5. So when I woke up, I just saw the Bitcoin thing, the Bitcoin Punk sale happen. I've been talking with Obi about it. Maybe we'll test through him, because I don't own any ordinals. I've just been watching and observing at the time. For those that are in here, make sure you just retweet and follow Emblem Vault, the pin post at the top, talking about some of the updates. That's where we're going to push through it. I believe, as you said, Leo, that, yeah, people are going to start figuring this out quite quickly, and they're going to want to start selling it. And it can be pretty chaotic. So safety is definitely first. I think something like even an ordinal icon inside of the vault might even be an option. Shannon's looking pretty hard, but I'm ready for it, man.
I mean, but obviously it's really tough to do any sort of like curated collection because it's unlimited, right? And you know, these are going to be, I mean, it's kind of like we're going to have hundreds of thousands of ordinal mints over the next couple of weeks, right? So even though you can say, yes, this is an ordinal, right? I mean, maybe Shannon should be able to figure out, okay, maybe we can link it to, you know, the ordinal on the ordinal website, which will again, but it's still, the person's still going to have to verify, right? They're still going to have to verify that it's the one that they're actually, want. As to your question about has anybody actually unvaulted one? No, I was planning on getting with Shannon over the next day or so to make sure we can do that. From a technical perspective, it shouldn't be a problem. I mean, we've talked to enough devs to say that shouldn't be an issue, but tech, man, what shouldn't be an issue somehow becomes issues sometimes. But yeah, any input from anybody in the audience or whatever who wants to give this a go and try it, please reach out.
Yeah, let us know. I mean, we are working too on getting Casey and Shannon in a chat to kind of work through some of the back end stuff. If there's anyone I trust to do this, I mean, it's Shannon. He was literally worked at Mastercoin, for those who don't know, back in 2012. So he's very familiar with proof of work and all of these very vintage, we'll call them vintage blockchains, just keeping with the historical narrative. He's been through this many, many times. He knows everything from proof of work to proof of stake. I think he just needs a few clarifying points to really get it done. Dogfather's got his hand up.
Yeah, I mean, we all know, and the first marketplace that is offering a trustless way to trade those, and then in a way where you can verify what you're buying. I mean, this will create such a momentum. I mean, that would be really an amazing moment for Emblem Vault, and also, of course, for the ordinals in general, and also for whatever collection that's covered first. I mean, that would be like unbelievable. I mean, that can really be big. I know I know that but I mean, just to tell it again, I mean, that would be really something.
Yeah, I mean, our DMs are open. I'm taking in tons of DMs, people asking. So the fact that Adam and Obi were on it in the beginning, putting out some content, we'll put some video stuff. I know it's all complicated, but trying to organize it is good. Shane Alexander says Covol to the moon in the live stream. For those who don't know, you need 250 Covol to vault. I do believe it was up like 25% this morning or something like this. Maybe Covol becomes a proxy to just ordinals itself. How funny. Flame, welcome back. What's good?
I just wanted to share this with you guys. If you're interested, I can pin the tweet. But for anybody who's a Gen Art fan out there, there's a name artist that already has a collection of 10 pieces under the 10K mark. And those are currently being auctioned off in a silent auction right now. I think the starting bid is the minimum bid is 0.1 Bitcoin. So they're not inexpensive. But the artist has done pretty well on other platforms. So I think that's a pretty interesting historical thing that's happening right now.
Yeah, sure. Pin it to the top. I'm interested to hear everything ordinals. So the top Emblem Vault sales of the week. The highest sale this week was Dash Pepe for 30 ETH. A very, very rare one. I think it's like less than 20 supply. Half an FD card from Spells of Genesis sold for 23 ETH. And then it was a Pepe sweep. Feels Good Man for 7 ETH. Pepe Gun, which is the guy that created Avalanche, for 4 ETH. Pepe Lisa, 3.2 ETH. UFO Pepe, first GIF on Counterparty, 2.6 ETH. And Green Beans, which is the fake rare created by Vincent Van Doe, the one who's taking Pepe's to the promised land.
Wait, you said the Pepe Gun, the creator created Avalanche, or the guy
so the creator of Avalanche, Sir Edmund, I forget what his actual name is. That's the Pepe card. It's the Pepe version of him. That is the series 1. So he didn't create Avalanche in 2017 or 2016 when that card was made. He went on later. So I think that's part of the reason why it sells so high, is these guys that go on, and if you're turned into a Pepe and then go on to do something successful, that card just goes to astronomical heights. Dash Pepe, I think, is just because it's like a very, very low supply of like 20 or something like that. We do have ETH Hoard on here for the ETH Hoard Corner. For those that don't know, ETH Hoard covers collecting in the real world, as the show is all about collecting. We try to bring those parallels, right? We do got a lot of flippers out here that we discuss. We love prices. But the best thing to do in the NFT space, if you look, is actually just buy and hold, man. Those people who bought or who claimed CryptoPunks for free, or got those Ether rocks pretty low, or even claimed those Mooncats for free back in 2017, man. Up 6 to 8 figures doing that kind of stuff. So we do love the hype, but collecting is where it is at. So Ethord, I'll let you take this away, and I'll follow along on the live stream.
Great. Thanks, Jake. So yeah, this is Hoarder's Corner, a weekly segment that explores the world of physical collecting, digging into its history and exploring which characteristics drive value to see what parallels we can draw with historical NFTs. This week, we have a mammoth one. It's Magic the Gathering. So after a couple weeks of little smaller kind of collectibles and jokes like Pogs and Pez, this is more serious here. I know we've had a lot of exciting talk about ordinals, so I'll try to. It goes deep, but I'm going to skip some areas and just kind of cover the basis. But yeah, as an aside, Magic the Gathering is culturally significant to so many things that succeeded it, and crypto is no exception. We wouldn't have Mt. Gox, which, if you don't know, the acronym actually comes from Magic the Gathering Online Exchange. We wouldn't have Spells Genesis. If we didn't have Spells Genesis, maybe we wouldn't have Rare Pepes, or it would look very different. I mean, just in general, without Magic, the entire crypto space would be far different. So, and then I want to start with this quote I got from the Stockbrokers of Magic. This is a great article that Wire put out. And it says, in 2017, after Bitcoin's first major spike, cryptocurrency heads looking for a way to cash out began noticing the market for rare Magic cards was another vehicle for investing. When the value of Bitcoin hit $17,000, a customer of Magic retailer abugames.com called in to ask about 3 Alpha Black Lotuses, which were $16,000 each at the time, and specifically whether they'd offer a discount if you bought in bulk. This particular gentleman who worked at ABU Games said, the way things were going with Bitcoin, I wouldn't be surprised if someone just took them all at a regular price. So we're not going to be going any lower for any sort of discount. 15 minutes later, the guy called back and said, all right, I'm that guy. I'll pay you in Bitcoin. Give me all of them at 16 grand each. So yeah, they kind of, that just goes to show how they're kind of tied. They go hand in hand.
Yeah, Magic the Gathering, man, is the OG card collection. I think some of the cards are selling for astronomical prices. I don't know if you remember, there's a excuse me, a crypto OG that goes by Not So Fast. He tried to actually burn the Black Lotus card in some sort of like symbolical ritual and then mint it in shards as a token. And Magic the Gathering actually sent him a cease and desist.
Is that true?
I swear, yeah.
True.
I'll try and find it while somebody's talking next. But this happened last year, or maybe 2 years ago. It was like during like peak mania of the NFT bull run. It was absolutely incredible. But yeah, they sent him a cease and desist because the card, I believe, was from like 1996 or 90, whatever, sometime in the 1990s. And yeah, I guess he was just so public about it that he wasn't able to do it and shut down the whole project that he was planning on doing.
Crazy.
That's super interesting. Yeah, shout out to Not So Fast. He's definitely an OG, and that's too bad he wasn't able to do that. Okay, so suggested media. I looked at a lot of different articles. I watched a couple of videos, but there's an up and coming documentary which is interesting. It's a Kickstarter. It's not out yet, but it's supposed to come out this year, and that does seem very interesting. Highly recommend checking out the Kickstarter. It's called Igniting the Spark, and they have like a 2-minute trailer, and they got all the main people in there, and it does seem more about kind of the background and coming to be, because the other doc that I saw it's called Enter the Battlefield. It's available now on YouTube, but it's more about just the competitive aspect of it and how it's grown, and less about the history. And then there's a really good article as well called Spellcasters, a Magic the Gathering origin story. That's fascinating. If anyone wants to dig more then the couple bullet points I have for the origin, it's highly worth a read. It's fairly long, but it's very interesting.
Yeah, I'm looking at this article, the print run calculations. The alpha print run for Magic the Gathering was 26,060 card starter decks and 70,000 15 card boosters, which would equate to about 2.61 million cards, I guess, in the first series. And so then it looks like you have 1,008 rare cards, 4,529 uncommon, 16,003 commons, and then it goes on and talks about all the different collections. So as you have, Hoarder, as you have done some research on this, I guess as from a personal standpoint, did you collect any of these, and what was the biggest finding through this research? Maybe from either a value perspective or a trend or some sort of relatability to the NFT space.
Yeah, I collected. I was not. I didn't keep going, but I grew up with Magic gathering cards. I got a brother. As a classic older brother too, he swindled me one time. I had a super rare called Doppelganger, and he convinced me to trade it for one of the most common shitty cards called Fear. Because the artwork.
Would you like to trade that for some magic beans? Yes, I would. Yes, I would.
Yeah, that one still stings to this day. But I never had the alpha. So the editions, right? There's the alpha, there's the beta, and then there's unlimited. Those were the first three, and they're really all the same. They pretty much had the same cards with a couple of variances in like the powers, but it's the same set across, right? And so I started with the unlimited, which is when it really kind of more gained popularity. But yeah, so to answer your question, I mean, really, it's all about the Power 9 when we're looking at value and how we can equate it to historical NFTs. The Power 9 are 9 cards. They're considered the most powerful cards in the game. And what adds value? They hit all those notes, right? So it's all about addition, right? Alpha is the best because it came first, beta, and then unlimited, and then rarity, right? So is it a rare card? There's no card in those early sets where they're like, I'm only going to make 1 or 10 of these. If it was a rare card, which there was, I think, 170 rare cards or whatever, they all had the same amount. For alpha, it was 1,100 per card, and then beta, there's 3,300 per card for the rares. So yeah, if it was a rare or a common or a land card, that's how they split them up. And then utility, right? So since it is a game, how OP is the card in the deck?
Yeah. So I actually just
it was played in a tournament more, then the cost to buy it would go up, and it would even if it weren't a rare, right? So all those played a factor, and the Power 9 hit all 3 of those, right? They're actually so powerful that they've all been banned from competitive play. And of the 9 cards, the Black Lotus is the creme de la creme, right? That's the one that I think even people that aren't too into Magic are probably familiar with. It's got this elegant and simplistic art, and something that's kind of serendipitous, right? In this world of monsters and magic and dragons, the most powerful card is literally a flower.
I actually just pulled up the tweet I found from Not So Fast. It is the picture of the flower. It's from February 26, 2022. It says, in case you missed it, the Lotus Keeper, which was the project he was planning on doing, tweet late last night, the legal team representing Magic the Gathering's intellectual property interests has contacted us, making sure we do not infringe on it. They're reviewing their work, and then it was shut down shortly after that. So don't come after those collectibles, man. They are.
He should have done it on Bitcoin. He could have made ordinals and then decentralized it, and there would have been nobody to sue, man. That would have been the idea.
Ethor, just to amuse us, what's the all-time top sale of a Magic the Gathering card?
Yeah, well, you probably guessed it. It's the Black Lotus, and it actually sold during the bull run, which goes into kind of what I led with, where when crypto's up, Magic is up. So in 2021, an autographed perfect 10 gem mint Alpha Lotus sold for $511,100. So a little over $500,000, And one note too, with it being autographed by the artist, and all you historical art people probably get this. The artist actually passed away, I think, at the late '90s. So, to have it autographed, I mean, there's never going to be any more autographs. So that really sets it apart. However, if you just have a non-autographed Alpha Lotus that's not a perfect 10 or even a 9.5, I mean, the floor is about $60,000. It's about $40,000 for a beta, and it's about $25,000 for an unlimited Black Lotus.
Ooh, it's 20 Bitcoin for a Black Lotus, dude. What? Screw that. I want some Bitcoin punks, dude. I know where this train is going. I want my bags packed. So, Ethord, thank you for sharing that. I'm going to pass over to Dogfather, who's our counterparty and Doge Party resident. For those that don't know, yes, Bitcoin has had NFTs since 2014, and Dogecoin has also had NFTs since 2014. A lot of people don't realize that. Dogfather was one of the OGs back in that day, and provides a lot of analytics. So I will pass it off to you, sir.
Yeah, this week I had a thread on Space of Genesis, and then nobody was interested too much in that, and everyone was just talking about ordinals. So I'm really shy on talking about that. But if you like, it's my pinned tweet. You can have a look. I was just gathering some stuff about that, and also before about the intersection of big rare artists and rare peppy artists. And it's pretty interesting to see how many of the rare peppy artists are working on the fake directory, and then also later the seals and the number of cards and so on. And you see these OGs are still pretty active in the fake directory. And I think that's pretty cool that you have let's say a modern project where the OGs from back in the days are still active. And you also see that this is then also giving credibility for people like Dimitri Cherniak coming over and not just doing some ringers on ETH, but also doing a very cool fake cards, some text stuff, obviously, not just throwing a JPEG on the card. Also bringing these people over to the fake directory. And so it's a very cool combination of OG artists, new kids, joining, and cool new artists, and also very established and world-renowned artists joining a project. And this is bringing a lot of eyes on the fake rares. So really looking forward to the Emblem Vault collection on that. But also, new collectors that learn about rare pappies and also, Ape over there. And I think that's, you cannot say that enough. It's so cool to have Skrilla doing that, and with the fake rares, and also now with his music ordinals. So pretty interesting. So just have a look.
Yeah, we'll I'll actually cover the Skrilla's auction for the low inscribed music NFTs that are going to be, or music ordinals, I should say, that are happening on Scarcity. I actually pinned to the top. I had the honors to interview one of the original Spells of Genesis artists. A very, very insightful conversation of what it's like to create crypto art with an intentional project back in 2015. Some of those insights might surprise you of how the artists were treated back then, and kind of how bringing an artist like himself who had no idea what blockchain was into a project, and kind of the craziness that comes from it. He also is creating his own project called Monster Book to try to live onto the vision. Highly suggest it, pinned to the top. Spells of Genesis, right? If there's going to be a trading card that trades similar to a Black Lotus, it's probably going to be the Satoshi card or the FD card, which Leonidas has as his PFP combined with a Crypto Skulls. So I don't know, Adam, did you get to listen to that at all?
No, I haven't listened yet. It's interesting that, people are picking up, what was it, the FD card this week. Probably trying to assemble a full card, right? It's really interesting to see. I've seen some like quarter card trades and, people selling individuals and stuff, to see how kind of collectors are really trying to get that full card. It's a super grail. And I think it's only going to become, it's kind of with my thesis of like curio cards as well, like the full set, having that full card as kind of a grail piece is, it's interesting to see people trying to get that together and looking at fractions as well. I can kind of assemble it this way and it might be cheaper than buying a straight up card.
Full sets, the sets, that is the epitome of a collector, no matter what it is. I remember right before I sold my Mooncats at Sotheby's, I also self-created this, what's called a full set of Mooncats, which is a Mooncat from every year, because there is only 3 that exist in 2020. So you can actually theoretically only have 3. And I believe Baki Puba has the other full set as well. So even just me stating that could be a full set, somebody went afterwards to then go, I think it was like 40 ETH to go get the full set. So there can be something inscribed, pun intended, into any of these collections. It's how we work. We're weird collectors.
Jake, you still have that, or you sold it, or what was the deal? Like, how the hell did you track down?
Dude, Jake's retired on an island in
right
now with that.
That's amazing. I did not know that. That's like, honestly, as a collector, yeah. I mean, that's I don't know. That's like the coolest Mooncat thing I've heard.
Yeah, that's actually, just for like a sidetrack, that's actually how I got in touch with Christie's. Was Noah saw that I had tweeted about it, and he had tweeted at me and replied that they were interested. So I was actually talking with Noah from Christie's when he was still there to actually auction that whole set there. Things kind of fell apart as the NFT market kind of fell apart and stuff like that. But yeah, it's interesting. So there's, regarding the 2020 Mooncat, there was one person owned 2 of them, and they just one day randomly had wrapped them on the unofficial wrapper. So it was just kind of sitting out there in the wild, mislabeled for 15 ETH. And I immediately saw this and bought it immediately. And then started realizing like, oh crap, there's only 3 of these, and there's only 71 2019 ones. So let me try to start acquiring those. And then one launched there, and so completed the set. Had tweeted about it, and then Baki, who those don't know, is a super OG NFT guy, first person to ever claim a CryptoPunk. He actually claimed like a bunch of Mooncats too. A few months later, we started messaging about it, and he went and bought it. I think the 2021 sold for like 30 ETH at the time. There's actually one of the other 2021 is unwrapped and has not moved from this person's wallet. We think as a community, this person has no idea that it even is in his wallet. They bought it off of the Mooncat Adoption Center during the rediscovery, and people have tried to get in.
Oh, it's like gone.
People have tried to get into this person, tried to get in contact. I think somebody like sent an ENS asking to like purchase it. Some people have tried to go through the Etherscan messaging. Nobody has had any luck trying to get in hold that this guy is probably sitting on 6 figures in his wallet that he bought for, I think, like half an ETH during the Mooncat rediscovery.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, it's funny. So, I mean, if anyone could get that, that's the third one is out there in the wild. But yeah, I have no intention to sell it right now. We actually call those 2021s the COVID cats. So they only 3 from 2020.
That's fantastic, man.
The reason why they're so scarce is the Mooncat, or when Pondware had left Mooncat Rescue, the adoption center disconfigured with MetaMask. So you actually had to go into the contract and mint, and of course they're free. So as they left in 2018, only 71 people went in and minted in 2019. I think like half of that's from Midnight Lightning, who is the current IP owner of Mooncat Rescue. And then 2 people went in and claimed 3 between them for 2020. So some true autists out there just experimenting with contracts. Gotta love it. There was a thread that I wanted to bring in as well that I thought was pretty interesting, and it kind of relate to the ordinal conversation. And it was posted by Punisher, who's our kind of like our resident Namecoin person. He put up this thread you could see on the video stream. It says, my love for historical collectibles is well known, but my favorite assets can be seen on his OS page. And he posts 9 like unique Namecoin and some Bitcoin assets. And this kind of goes into what I was saying earlier about how in 2011, you saw like this like kind of bull rush of people experimenting with Namecoin. And then it kind of fizzles out until 2014 when people started putting images or JPEGs on the blockchain. But in the middle period, there's like these unique ones where it's like the first ever traded NFT. There's one that's a random Bitcoin image that looks like Batman. You actually had this, which I think Leo actually owns one of these too.
Leo's got one of those.
The Androidify, which was Larva Labs avatar builder before CryptoPunks, tokenized on Namecoin, which I believe is actually the first PFP or one of the first ones on there, right? So it says here that Androidify was a Web 2 PFP app launched by Larva Labs in February 2011. In 2014-15, 6 one-name users, which was the DApp, tokenized Androidifys on Namecoin, making these the first unintended LLL-related collectibles. This one wears the iconic Punks 3D mask. And there's actually like a awesome thread by it, which I'll pin when I'm done talking. And you see this one called Namecoin Files, which was in 2014, which talks about storing files on chain. And you have like Stephen Volgare's work, which I believe was on Bitcoin. Ethereum.bit was registered in 2014, which actually was like before it even had launched to the mainnet. Ethereum.bit was created on Namecoin 3 weeks before Ethereum was publicly announced in the project dev, and 19 months before Ethereum Genesis block. So somebody was ahead of the game. You have the on-chain file fuckyeah.bit, which is the stick figure, the meme, but it's pretty awful pixelation, and radio.bit. And the reason why I bring this up is because I think that there's going to be something similar like this within the it's going to be similar within the ordinals, where once this hype period dies down, we're going to see some real small, unique innovations, probably people just experimenting. That'll happen. And that's kind of like what I'm looking out for. Sure. Adam, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, my first thought is Punisher has the sickest, like, I would love to have that collection, man. I was just like, I think I tweeted back, like, dude, this is like the flexiest flex tweet thread ever, dude. It's like, hey, guess what? I got like 10 grails. Here they are. You know, it's like, Jesus Christ, man. It's pretty awesome. But yeah, I think that's it. Your point is well taken. And we've seen it across different blockchains. Who was the first to do this? Who was the first to do that? And Punisher's thread kind of highlights a bunch of stuff on Namecoin. But yeah, and I think we've already seen it to a degree, right? Who's going to do the generative stuff? Who's going to do, and we were in the Ordinals Discord, like, who did the first trade? What was the first trade? Who did the first, transfer? Who did the first sale? We were kind of documenting it in real time because we've seen this play out before as to what collectors are going to kind of value. And so I think it's happening right now.
That's funny. Now we've got the infrastructure set in place. We know how to track all of it. It's crazy you could be an archaeologist in real time.
In real time archaeology.
How funny. Meefs, you have your hand up for the first time. GM, welcome to the show. And what's on your mind?
Hey, GM. Really loving the combo here. I was curious if there was a resource for like onboarding to Emblem or showing, just how it works. I'm curious, or like I'm familiar with the concept of vaulting, but and I kind of get where these two technologies mesh well together. But yeah, I'm just kind of curious about how to like even onboard to Emblem Vault. And thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're talking to the right two people that work at Emblem, Adam and myself. First, it depends on like which blockchain you want to use. But if you go to the Emblem Vault websites, emblem.pro, you'll see there's a YouTube and a Medium, and we have about 20 different videos and a Medium post detailing specifically how to vault an asset for Counterparty, Namecoin, Doge Party, and Monocoin, how to unvault them, how to safely verify assets and purchase them on OpenSea, and how to sell them as well. It's once you kind of learn the process, it's quite simple. And Adam also put out a thread today, two different people, Adam and Obi, on how to vault ordinals in a vault safely. Adam also put a thread, which I believe is pinned to the top somewhere, on how to verify that it is an ordinal. We're in the process of figuring out unvaulting safely, and we have the dev of Emblem Vault is working on adding optimized a UX, I guess you could say, to figure it out, and some of the other processes as well.
Yeah, or just feel free to DM. I mean, after you've gone through some videos and stuff, if you have any other questions, just give us a shout. Just shoot us a DM.
Yep, the pin to what Adam just put, which is the Emblem Vault wiki page on Leonidas's NFThistory.org, is a good start. And then go to the Emblem Twitter account. You'll find a lot of stuff on there. But also just feel free to reach out to Adam or myself, and we can help you with anything specific.
Word, do appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem. Truth's got his hand up. GM.
Appreciate you guys for having me up. Quick question. Great conversation, man. It's always a pleasure being on stage and listening to you guys put in this knowledge, man. It's really a blessing to see people pioneering this. So for a quick question, I was up last night and I was just messing around with my Ledger wallet, or my cold storage Ledger, Nano X, and I was just like thinking, like, man, how can I send Satoshis to this thing and just have one ordinal on here? And I couldn't figure it out, but I wanted to see if there's anything related to that right now.
Go ahead, Jake.
I was just going to say, Adam probably has more information. I saw some people tweeting about this, that you can. I'm uncertain what the actual procedure is. Maybe Adam can provide that.
Yeah, I mean, I did tweet. If you check my thread from or check my tweets maybe from last night, I retweeted a friend of mine who was talking about Sparrow Wallet, and then with some other wallet system where you could actually mint the ordinals and stuff. Before you spend any money, if you don't want to use Emblem to acquire an ordinal, and you're going to do OTC trades, or even you want to create some yourself, I would, do it that way, which is like, you can use your Ledger, create the Bitcoin wallets to transfer. Maybe if you want to transfer Bitcoin, you can transfer that directly into the Sparrow wallet or the other wallet for creating the ordinals. But just look through my thread or through my tweets, and you'll see what I put out there. So you can play around with it. It shouldn't be that difficult. Like if you're using Ledger, look, you can transfer, if you have Ethereum, you can transfer it, swap it for a small amount of Bitcoin and try it out yourself and play around with it.
Yep. I was just thinking based off like the valuation. So if I happen to lose it, I mean, I'm just going to mint some random ordinals right now to see, or inscriptions right now to see if it'll work out. But yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, I would say that I'm actually going to do it myself after this stream, so I can write some how-tos and stuff to help people out. Yeah, I'd say just small amounts, mint stuff that's just nothing, just for you to kind of have for yourself, play around with it.
And make sure you record those videos for us too. Even the bloopers of trying to inscribe something 50 times, so you can't figure it out. I suspect that's probably what's going to happen now. Is you're going to just see a lot of random inscriptions over the next few weeks, which is just people toying around with it and trying to figure it out. Because that's going to be me. Did you have to? Are you running a full node now, or are you doing it a different way, Adam?
No, my computer gave up the ghost. My computer was like, sorry. I mean, dude, it was just no way. I was literally getting the spinning wheel of death, which I haven't gotten like 5 years on a computer. So yeah, no, that computer, it's not going to work. And I actually feel like the tech in just a couple of weeks is going to not need the full node, right? Like people are going to figure out ways to do this. I mean, they kind of already have, right? So yeah, I don't think I'm going to run the full node because basically I'd need to buy a new computer. Is what it boils down to.
Well, Adam, you might actually find this interesting. There is a hack that people are doing. I haven't actually done it myself, but probably will end up doing it. You can go to the AWS marketplace, and somebody has like a full node basically already set up, all the tooling. You just basically deploy it onto AWS. So obviously the Bitcoiners aren't happy with me saying this, but it'll be ready in 30 minutes. So
where's the how-to for that, man? Where's the how-to? No, I mean, just to give you guys an example of what I tried to do, which was basically because my computer didn't have enough hard drive space. Like it had only 450 gigs available. And so I talked to Casey, and Casey was like, oh, just get an external, just make sure it's SSD. So I went out, bought an expensive external hard drive here in Costa Rica, paid like triple what you guys pay in the States, spent 2 days downloading it onto the external drive. Then I spent like 2 full days with people in the Discord trying to get that external drive working, failed, then reported it back to my computer after wiping like almost all my stuff off my computer. So I had enough free space to run the node on my computer, and then proceeded to spend like another 4 days failing to get it working. So that was my process, which I would not recommend.
I believe running a full node right now is about 550 gigabytes. So for most computers, that's literally half or even full if you're just on the basic account for
Leo,
it.
can we expect that at how-to Amazon Web Service 1? Can we expect that up and running? Are you going to give us the how-to later today?
Maybe, yeah, potentially. We'll see. I'm not sure if I'll get to it today, but yeah, shortly. I really am hoping that like the full node thing is like going to be like 1 or 2 more weeks. The fact that there's 2 or 3 of these drag and drop, 2-click inscribing things, I'm pretty sure we're going to see a wallet pretty soon here. So then that meets the basic criteria, because it's not like there's a marketplace associated, with having a full node. So it's really just, you can receive now without a full node. You can inscribe now without a full node. So it's really, for most people, it's just the sending. And it's hard for me to believe that we're not going to have somebody working on a wallet. And it's going to come out very, very shortly.
Yeah, I think I saw a few ordinal wallets pop up on the various spaces. So they've at least got a Twitter account running for that. It's going to be an interesting week, man. I feel like the last 3 Friday shows have just been like Bitcoin, NFTs, and ordinals. Hopefully this shifts over to Pepe's once we get these curated collections launched. That's what I'm most excited for. Imagine having just Emblem vaults, just literally like 50 different collections in the top 100. How salty would the ETH maxes be? It was just all Bitcoin NFTs that are just in the
dude.
In the
if you guys have ordinals and rare Pepe's taking over OpenSea, there's going to be some ETH maxes that are best. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Somebody put out a tweet. It was like, ordinals are perfect because they piss off all the maxis. They piss off the Bitcoin maxis and the ETH maxis. It's just like the perfect storm.
Yeah, I have to say, Casey as a founder, even though he's a Bitcoin dev, I think lives in San Francisco, which is like where most of them live. He seems pretty open to other technologies. He did give Emblem a little bit of flack in the beginning. I don't think because he thought we were a bridge, but he seems a little bit more open-minded, or maybe just Adam shook some sense into him.
No, I don't think so, man. I think I do think he's a good dude, no doubt about it. But he's got his beliefs, man, and his belief is code is like law kind of thing. And if you can't prove that this code is unbreakable, I don't trust you, which is fine. Like I totally get it. And so, yeah, I think we got some convincing to do. I mean, we'll never convince him fully because it's not like a fully decentralized system. So it is what it is. But no, I think he's a good dude. Although he can hit rough, right? His video talking about counterparties bullshit, and that hit a lot of people wrong, including myself. But Maxi's going to be Maxi's. You just got to kind of enjoy it for what it is.
True. So as we close this out, one final conversation I want to think is what do we think's next for ordinals? We saw when you look through the history of NFTs, you see mostly it begins with identity protocols and then avatars. This one, it seems a little bit flipped where it's avatars and images. And I've heard a few different people approaching creating different identity systems on there. Skrilla is doing a auction. I don't know if it's today or next week. He put some of
Wednesday. You guys should probably pay attention because this will be probably a decent auction. So on Wednesday, there's going to be a ton of collections being auctioned by Scarce.city, and pretty much every major collection or anything interesting on ordinals is probably doing part of that auction, and that'll be a fun thing to just, I don't know, if you're not going to buy, just kind of watch it go down. I'm sure it'll be kind of fun.
Yeah. I saw Scarce City was having a space with Casey probably that day or the next day. Yeah. So I think that's coinciding.
Yeah, Adam, do you want to describe to them what scarcity is? Some people don't even have any idea what it may be.
Maybe you're better at. I mean, honestly, it's like a Telegram run. Or they have the website, don't they? But it's an old auction house kind of thing, and so they do these auctions. I want to say it's maybe the longest running kind of auction house for digital collectibles.
You're thinking about Roaring. So that's Roaring.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's Roaring.
Yeah.
I get too confused.
There's a few of them. Yeah. So you have Theo Goodman's one. I think it's called like the OG Bitcoin auction house. You have Roaring Auctions, which has been doing Pepe and XCP auctions since January 2017. Scarcity, they started off in 2019 selling physical Bitcoin art, right? So I think like Crypto Graffiti and a bunch of these other individuals were doing like Bitcoin pillows and Bitcoin art and all this different stuff that you could purchase in Bitcoin. And then in 2021, they integrated the Lightning Network. So you can buy and sell counterparty assets, and they do unique curated auctions. So they're truly like one of the OGs in the space, at least when it comes to like Bitcoin markets. They're highly trusted. I think most projects actively work with them. I pinned to the top Skrilla's tweet about his music ordinal. Of course, he's always super far ahead of the game. These Pepe guys are always into it. So that'll be quite interesting. But Leah, what do you think is going to happen for ordinals over the next few weeks? Do you think we see any types of innovation? It seems like music, maybe third. Do we think there's any other categories that may pop up?
Yeah, so it's really interesting. Like in the short term, we basically have like somebody basically took super rare and put it on Bitcoin. It's like there's a lot of one of ones that are it's as a collector that's like super interesting, right? But the thing that got me most excited over the past few days was that Bitcoin Punk's mint mechanic. Not necessarily like just the collection itself, just that like the idea that instead of prior to that, basically it was dev goes manually inscribes 100. It's a huge pain. They created Discord. They manually have to message to like 100 people, and they each manually send. They verify. It's a whole thing, and it's like it takes days and days to mint a 100-piece collection. It's totally unsustainable, right? But with the way the CryptoPunks did it, you can basically just, and I talked to I don't want to spill the beans too much, but like the two guys behind that website, like they understand that you can apply the same technique to other collections. And then to quote unquote mint a collection, to create a collection, literally all you have to do is upload 10,000 images to the site. And then there's like a page that says, hey, this is a collection. It's all done on Web 2. Okay, it's super easy. Anybody could create a collection. And basically, if you're able to convince people that there's something valuable in that, you would probably mint some of the rares and like mint some of the first ones yourself so that you're taking a stake. But then it's essentially just a free mint where everybody will do all the work to mint for you, and there's no distribution because it's like straight to your wallet. To me, that model is like infinitely better than whatever's going on with these like Discords with 100 supply, because 100 supply isn't like that popular of a collection size on ETH. I don't really imagine it would be like the kind of optimal size here either. It's just because it's literally too much of a pain in the ass to operate manually sending 1,000 of these things out. So I think it's super cool that like to me that was pretty much an innovative moment, and my guess is that tech is going to get replicated by hundreds of other collections over the coming months.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of plug and play. Meef's had his hand up first, and then we'll go to Truth right after.
Yeah, I just speaking to things that are coming next in terms of like I guess a meme or an aesthetic that I've been seeing out there. For better or worse, like people like the check mark, it seems. And just to, I just call attention to someone's post. There's a post that was out there where they're talking about like gamifying them or making it programmatic, so that the check marks now become akin to like a QR code where they could have like a second layer or second order of info that's kind of like baked into them, either predetermined or programmatically, however it gets done. But just something to consider that you could see a wedding of generative projects, current, memetics or current meme culture, and then this new sort of way of transacting within the next coming weeks. So something to look out for.
Give me some good old Bitcoin generative art. Let's see. I do want to note too, I pointed this out. Isn't it interesting how when ETH was first created, it was Bitcoin. It was basically Bitcoiners going and taking Bitcoin art and tokenizing it onto Ethereum. And then in the early Ethereum NFT days, right, it's the same thing. The Bitcoiners are taking the Bitcoin culture and putting it into Curio cards and crypto cards. And now it's the opposite again, right? Now a new innovation on Bitcoin, and Ethereum's taking their culture and then putting it on Bitcoin. So it just like continually just goes back and forth. But it's only between these two chains. The other ones is the other all L1s are the ones that are trying to take Ethereum culture and try to mint it onto their smart contract. So that was just something that was interesting that I had noticed. Truth was next, and then we'll go to Mafiko.
Yeah, to speak on the future, possibly, these are just some ideas, but I was thinking about different types of ways to either mint NFTs on different chains or utilizing different protocols. And personally, I'd love to see somebody or something, even myself. I mean, I just haven't had the time, but to utilize Manifold Ethereum NFTs to somehow bridge. On-chain Monkey is like killing it right now with their pioneering, but I'd love to see personally like an experience where it's like a virtual gallery experience with all of these chains, because it's so rudimentary to see like so many people either talking about certain chains as if they're maxis on either one, but it's all the same technology. And so just one of them is being built right now, which is really cool to see, but it's like people are missing the point here. There's so much you can actually innovate and create. Leonidas said it best with the website. I mean, that was just the first experience, and it was really basic. It's just really thought out experience on an experience, which is really cool. But can you take it further? On-chain Monkey's doing great with what they're doing with the first ordinal 10K PFP, which is really lit. But I mean, how far can you actually push this on a generative level? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and with rare Pepes, you see some of in the fake rares, there were some generative fake rares. Dmitry Cherniak had done one, but then I don't think it's like a complete like through to through generative to mint. I believe you have to do the generative art and then mint the token. So it's not completely automated fully through. But yeah, I am excited to kind of see that as well. Mafiko, go ahead.
Yeah, so talking about the future, reading the sort of the ordinals, the document and how it's been there. They've been sort of positioned around digital artifacts compared to versus NFTs. I think it's a really important distinction for the type of projects that will sort of manifest on the ordinals protocol compared to other chains. And with that, the key thing being around royalties. And so reading through it, I was like, wow, okay. So really being clear that there's sort of no royalties with ordinals protocol, being very clear that it's, permissionless. I think long term, what we're going to see is a divergence around this positioning around, ordinals being permissionless assets, natively secured by Bitcoin compared to other chains like Ethereum. But I think from the artist side, and we've seen these conversations around royalties, how important they seem to be for artists. It'll be just interesting to see where artists go, and in terms of their communities and who they have in the communities, whether or not, if they're very much focused on, permissionless crypto native people, then it seems to me natural that they'll go to the ordinals protocol and mint there. But if they're less native to crypto coming in, it seems to me that they're likely going to go elsewhere, given that sort of permission or that mechanism around royalties may not be there. So I think that's going to be a bit of the distinction from my perspective.
Yeah, I think this is just my own speculation. I wouldn't be surprised to see Xcopy go and do some inscriptions as somebody who was doing NFTs on a scribe, right? So he actually started on Bitcoin himself back in, I don't know, was it 2016 or 2017? So I think you'll see some large prominent ETH artists probably start inscribing, and then that will bring over the flood of all the other artists. Like the Pepe community, for example, they have never had royalties. That's why with curated collections, we're trying to give them royalties, which is just a whole monster within itself to divide that up between 300 different people. But I think it's just the Bitcoin ethos is they've never really had it, so they aren't really pushing it forward. I think right now they just kind of want to have fun on it. But I think that debate will probably happen at some point once you get more of those ETH artists moving over there, because they're used to royalties and they see some of the other popular ones doing it. They're going to say, oh, how do we bring this over here? How it's going to be done, I have absolutely no idea.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if like even some OG, if Crypto Graffiti, puts out a couple NFTs or something, or his artwork on ordinals. There's just so much room for stuff to happen here. It's going to be exciting to see how it plays out.
Yeah, Crypto Graffiti and Xcopy would be my two picks to be the first large NFT artists to come over and start doing their own project on it. But who really knows, man? Who really knows? We've been going at this for 2 hours, man. Ordinals has been going on literally the whole entire week. It'll probably take over next week. I appreciate everyone for coming on and doing this. Show's getting bigger. We're having more fun. We're building some cool tech out here. We're having some great conversations. That's a little bit of the counter to what you see of the Web3 people just wanting to shit on each other, talking about the drama and who's flipping and watching floor price. We get to have some cool intellectual conversations here. Adam, any final words? And I'll pass it off to the spaces.
I can't share details yet, but literally as we're having the show, we've sold some more Bitcoin punks. So they're on the move. They're on the march. It's a market that is going a little bit crazy right now. So, but be careful out there, guys. There's
was that on OpenSea or those are OTCs?
These are OTCs. They're larger trades. So yeah, these are larger high-end collections. So we'll see how it goes, man. It's crazy. It's crazy.
God, I faded generational wealth again. I saw it
again, bro.
I said, nah, I'm good, man. I'm gonna pass on this one, brother. I'm gonna pass on this one. I'm too lazy. Anybody on stage? Any final words before we close up? All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna be closing up over here. You can hang out for a few seconds before I close it up. Feel free to shoot us a DM with any questions, and we'll see you in the Twitterverse.
Thanks, guys.